Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Welcome back to Worth Guitars. It's been a little bit since I did a video because we've been pushing really hard to try to get this guitar done. Because the event is September the 29th. And so I needed to get it done and make sure everything was good on it so they could also have some time to have it and show it and things like that for the charity. And so it kind of put everything else on the back burner. So the videos didn't really get done like they normally do. But we're back. We're getting it done. This is the Pink Ride guitar that we did for the Pink Ride charitable organization here in our area in Virginia, in southeastern Virginia. And all of the proceeds from this charity, from the donations and the auctions, go to local people in our area who are dealing with the horrible disease, breast cancer. So, we're trying to help where we can. This is something we could do, and so we did it. But man, it was a push to the end. I tried out a new top coat. I tried out the new Ilva, what is it called? TP60, I think it is, wet gloss top coat. It's a polyurethane. It worked really well. Happy with that. We're definitely going to use that again. But that's that. That's ready to go. It's back to some videos and it's back to getting this acoustic guitar going. We got to get this acoustic guitar going. So, today, remember we routed out, the last time on the acoustic guitar, we routed out the end cap, right? This piece on the end. So today, we have to get that glued in, and we have to decide whether we're going to put the black, white, black, no, actually it's white, black, white binding around the side of it. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that or not yet. And the reason for that is, as I probably stated in the last video, I did not do any white, black, white detail around this rosette. So I'm thinking that it may look kind of funny. Let me get you up closer so we can see that. Okay, so if I do this on the end, I don't know. Man, the lighting over here is terrible. I'll get you over here in some better lighting. Hold on. There you go. And it's supposed to kind of meet up with the binding going around. And I don't know. I think I'm going to keep it simple. I really wish I had some black, white ebony like this to put down here, but I don't have enough to do it. So I think I'm just going to keep just a piece of ebony, like a keystone here, and I'm just going to let the binding run across the top of it. And just keep a simple look to this guitar. It'll have some cool looking inlay on the fretboard, so we'll just let the fretboard and the music coming out of it do the speaking instead of the decoration. On this particular guitar, we'll keep it simple. So that's what we got to do today. We got to get this glued in. And so this will just be a little quick video to get this back on track, get this guitar going again, and start doing some more videos for this. After we get the binding glued on, we can get onto the neck joint. That's when it starts getting fun. You start getting the neck built. We can do some neck inlay. I haven't decided what to do on the neck yet. I'm still kind of cooking that around in my head. So let me get set up. We'll get this keystone tail piece glued in, and we'll go from there, okay? So I'll be right back. Hold on. Okay, that area right there. This is going right in there, but I want to be able to push it a little bit further in, so I can make sure it comes past here. I can get a good clean cut here and here, all the way across. We'll get that baby glued in. All right, so what I want to do is take my little shoulder jig that I have here. I forget what you call this, but it's kind of an old school woodworking trick. It's a bench hook. That's what it is. And it looks like this on the end. All right? And so you can take this and you can hook it right on your bench like that. And it gives you a surface to push against, like when you're sawing or filing anything, little parts especially. And something else it'll do is, since that's a 90-degree area or surface right there, You just clean that up. It's got a little excess glue on it from another project. You can actually take and put a piece of sandpaper right there, or a sanding block like this that I have on the back of a piece of ebony. See, I should have saved this to make that. It would have kind of matched, but you know, the grain's not quite right. So, and then you can take this thing. Let me get you over here where you can see. And hold that there, and you can go back and forth. And take a little bit off. But I need to get in a better position. Need a longer sanding block too. You can just take this and just take a little bit off. You can also use a file to do this. Like I could put this up here, which is probably even smarter. And just push it along. And you're just taking a little bit off the sides, and you're making sure to keep it square or a 90-degree angle there. And cleaning up that edge. A little bit more. Right, that's good. That gives me enough to cut flush to this rabbit. And of course I've got plenty up here to cut off. And then when I push that in, that's nice and tight. Now that does two things. That seals this joint at the end with a cross-grain lamination, and it just looks cool on the end where the binding comes across there. It'll match the binding because binding is ebony, right? So let me get that marked where it's going to be cut. An easy way to do this is to just let this flexible rule here. Who's this made by? This thing's great for stuff. I think it's made by Inca. Anyway, it has all of these little holes in it. Right? And your pencil, a 5mm, well, not a 5mm, but a 0.05mm, I believe is it. Or 0.5mm, that's what it is. Will fit right down in there. I don't use meters very often. So you can hold this in place down in the rabbit groove like this. Or the binding groove or binding rabbit. And you can mark it like that. You guys see that okay? You see what I'm doing? I'm just holding this down flush to this shoulder here where the binding goes. And this will bend right down in there and hold it up tight like that. And that gives you a great straight edge to mark against with your little mechanical pencil. See that? Can you see that line? I'll get you over a little closer even. There you go. That line right there. Well, that's where we're going to cut it, and we'll work our way back down to that to make sure we get that flush. That way our binding, when the binding comes across there, it'll fit perfectly flush to that piece. And that's what we're looking for. So, I'm going to go over to the bandsaw, and I'm going to take off the excess on both of these, and then I'm just going to lightly work up to it over here on the little disc sander that I have. So I'll get you moved around, and we'll get that done, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I need to square this back up. And I need to move this little lady here out of the way. Square the center back up here. Oh. That's sort of sanded edge. Man, I wish I had better lighting right here. Definitely need better lighting here. I have this light that I could mount somewhere up here, but then I got to figure out how to plug it in, because whoever made it made the cord 3 feet long. I wonder what it would do if I just let it sit there for a minute. Or right there for a minute. Let's see. Let's see how that does, just for fun. And then we'll know whether I'm wasting time or not. Wrong kind of extension cord. That's frustrating. Here's one. Yeah, that helps. That's nice. Especially if it was pointed where it needs to go. So I really need it to be on a stand, like right here. So you can see where you're at right here, you know, because that's where you're working at. And these digital lights that I bought, they put out light, but they don't, you know, it's a weird light. It's not real bright like daylight. So, or I need to wear a headlamp, one or the other. Something like that. Or I could just hold it, I guess. So we got these lines on there. If I can get you back in the camera. Pencil lines somewhere on this piece. There it is. And I'm just sanding right down to that pencil line. But leaving the line, not taking the line away. You leave the line. And the closer you get to the center on anything that's wobbling like this old sander is, the more stable it is. If you're way out here, if it's got any wobble in it, it's going bang, 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 bang. Obviously, the closer into the center, and this light is actually helping out quite a bit. Because I can actually see the line. And I'm just working right up to it. Like that. Man, that worked good. All right. Let's get it glued in. There you go. Let me unplug this light. So that fits right up to the line. And what we can do is just work it off a little bit at a time. This was actually good here. I think we'll leave that. Where's that little file I had? There it is. Where you left it. We can take this, work that shoulder right there. And that's really, really good right there. That fits nice and flush. So now all we got to do is this little end. And I'm kind of using this as a fence. Don't want to really take any material off of this though. So I'm trying to be careful there. And we'll see where we're at. So there's a little bit of a rock, see? That right there? We don't want that. And that's good right there. Let's get a piece of binding and check it. Here's a piece right here. And that will go like that. just like that. So that'll just run straight across, and here as well. And that's good too. Okay, you see what we're doing now, right? All right, I'm going to glue this in, let that dry, and then I can come back and refine just a little bit. There's just a tiny bit more needs to come off of this, but I'm going to glue it in first. That way it stays where it's going to go, and I'm not pushing against it, which may actually push it back and influence what I cut. Right? So let's get that glued in. I got to push it back out now, of course. There we go. And this is the back. Make sure you always do that, because if you don't, you may cut a piece, and when you cut it, you may have made slightly little jagged tear-outs right there along an edge. But when you turn that over, it's perfectly clean. So you need to decide which is going to be your back and which is going to be your top. And make sure you always keep your back down when you're cutting through or anything like that, especially on a bandsaw, because a bandsaw is a little aggressive and it'll pull through there and pull grain out. And then you'll have an unsightly little kind of raggedy place there you got to deal with. Right? So we got the back mark. I should have done that already, but I was kind of keeping an eye out for that anyway. All right. Let's get that glued in. All right. I'm so happy to be back on this guitar. I really want to get this done. I'm kind of itching to do some acoustic work with some friends. And I want to represent a work guitar out there when I'm doing it. Of course, now this is clogged up. It drives me crazy. These things are always clogged up. This is what I save guitar strings for. So I take some guitar strings and do this. And I'll show you why I do that. You can take this guitar string like this right here, this E string, and you got clogged up thing like this. You can take this and push it right on through. It's great for cleaning out these little tips. Great for cleaning spray guns too. And then you just pull that out like that. Pull that back, clean that off before the glue dries. And you're good to go. So the little like E strings and B strings and the wrapped ends like this, that is great for cleaning out the little holes in spray guns. And they're free. And if you build guitars or work on guitars, you have millions of them that are all over your shop. And you're constantly picking them up off of the floor. All right, a little bit of glue in there. Make sure we get right up to the shoulder with it. Want that to seal good. Just like that. And I'm going to put a little bit of back on the back of this piece of ebony also. Just for fun. Right across the back. Like that. All right. Now we can put this back in place. Push that in. It wedges itself in there like that, which is very cool. And we just want to make sure we didn't push it in too far. First thing we want to do though is clean this brush. Don't want to be sloppy. Only takes a second to just do this. Just like that. Now that's ready to go next time you want it. And we're not being messy. All right. And that's perfect. That's exactly where we want it to be. Anything extra that may stick out is going to be on the small side. And we'll just work that down if we need to. It actually feels pretty good like it is. And we'll glue this baby down. I'm just going to push down real hard and make sure the glue is touching everywhere. Make sure we got a good glue joint. We'll tape it down. I want to get this glue off of this mahogany. I don't want it to get down in the grain. Just like that. Let me grab some tape. Sit good and flat. Actually, that's working okay. We'll just do that. You kind of want to have your surface area spread out, you know, your glue surface area. I don't think we need to in this case. Just going to tape it down real good. It seems like it's got a really good grip on it. I think what we got going here is fine. Alright, we'll clean that groove out. That rabbet, rebate, whichever one you want to call it. We'll let this dry. And we can sand it flush. Okay, we're back. Man, you should have seen what just happened. The camera wasn't rolling, thankfully. But I almost dropped this, and I did one of those, try to keep from hitting the floor. Whew. Always a good idea to have rubber pads around your bench. Man, that was scary. All right, let's just get this cleaned up real quick. And we'll know that this is done, and then we're on to installing the binding. Now we're starting to make some movement. So I'm just going to get a scraper. See, that's glued in good and solid. I'm kind of rushing it a little bit, but it's been in there for a good half hour. That wood glue dries really quick, especially when it's warm like it is today. So I'm just going to get a scraper and scrape the majority of it off like this. Let me get you over a little closer so you can see that. One reason why you want to use a scraper to do some of this kind of stuff is the more you sand this ebony, I have found, it gets in the grain. And it's really difficult to get back off or out of the grain. So if you can sand some of it, then by all means, you should. I mean, excuse me. If you can scrape it, you should scrape it. And save the sanding. Try not to sand as much as you can with ebony against a different kind of wood, especially an open grain wood like mahogany, because it's going to get in the grain. It's going to be like a black grain filler. As you can see, a good sharp scraper will take that right down, and you can get it flush to the other surface. Haven't used any sandpaper. Eventually you're going to have to sand it, but you want to do as minimal as you have to. Like that. Starting to get a little mahogany now. So I got to be careful with that. Don't want to take too much mahogany off. Like that. And come back this way and get this side. I'm going to turn it around the other way, actually, I think. It'll work better that way. turn this around this way. Turn the vacuum back on. Like that. And I can work this way, pushing against this instead of pushing off of it, in other words, which is not a good idea. And we'll just scrape this down, flush to the mahogany. Ebony's nice for this kind of stuff. Because it's so hard, it scrapes well. The shavings come off. Like that. Try not to rub the dust down into the wood. Blow it off. Instead, your tendency is to do this. When you do that, you're going to run black down inside your mahogany. Blow it off. Or take a brush. You can keep a brush like this around. And do that. Try not to rub it. The only reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to scrape the mahogany too much and create like a divot in there, you know. There's a little bit of a high spot here. All right, I think we can hit that with a sander. And we'll be good to go. Let me plug this sander in real quick. A little bit of a high spot right there. I'm going to hit it with this. Instead of just grinding away with the sander. Just knock it off. Go in both directions. Still a little bit of a high spot right here. Let's hit it with the sander one more time. And there you have it. Nice tight, perfectly clean joint. Get you a little closer. You can see that. Nice tight, perfectly clean joint there. That's what we're looking for. That works out good. Another good reason to do a wedge, because you can really push it down in there and you get everything good and tight. Now that seals this joint right here completely shut. and you have this nice cross-grain lamination across the joint where the two sides come together. So that's not just for looks, that's also to keep that joint tight and clean looking, and it's a functional part of the guitar as well. So, yeah, that worked out good. Okay, so the tailpiece is in. Now, finally, we can put the binding on. Binding was done a while ago, but that's okay. It's been sitting around waiting on us. And we got the pink ride done, and that was important, and we got that done. Now we have Scott Hanford's guitar coming up. I really got to get that done. That's next up, the little Junior. And then we got a couple of Celine's coming in. They're going to be really pretty. Some really nice looking inlay work. The acoustic build is on its way now. That was the last little stepping stone to keep us from getting binding on. We'll get the binding on, then it's onto the neck joint. Okay? So stay tuned. We'll keep working on this thing. We'll get it done. All right? And there'll be some other videos as well. Sorry for the little delay in the video action. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. I wish I would have said this at the beginning of the video, but I forgot. Maybe I'll do an earlier version of me, and we'll say that. All right? Anyway, thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching this build. And thanks for the support, guys. All right, I'll put a link on there for the pink ride if you want more information about that. Okay? You guys be good to each other. I forget. I was going to say something there, but it kind of turned into a different word at the same time as the other word. You ever have that problem? Weird. Be good to each other, and we'll see you out there somewhere. Go see some bands. Go see some. We'll see you later. Bye now.